Julie, I'm afraid you're grounded.
But Mr. Kool-Aid, why? I didn't do anything.
You have no affinity for your job. In fact, it seems you have no affinity for anything. You're like neon.
Affinity? What's that? Sounds like some crazy chemistry term.
Now you're really grounded, Missy. You don't know what affinity is?
I'm sorry, sir. Please educate me.
Okay, Julie. I'll teach you things that a 40-year-old woman should know. I hope you're happy to learn high school chemistry.
I'm 34.
Anyways, as you move right through the periodic table, the affinity gets higher. For example, chlorine has a very high affinity. However, more to the left of the periodic table, the affinity is much lower. Hydrogen has a very low affinity. What does this mean?
I don't know. Please tell me.
Affinity basically is liking. If you have a high affinity, you like something. If you have a low affinity, you dislike something. With the periodic table, it's electrons. Why do they want more electrons? Find out after this quick commercial.
Commercial? This isn't a TV show.
Hate you hate your kids because I do too. However, Kids Corner Childcare loves them. Call now.
Let's look at iodine. Iodine has 7 electrons already with it. It needs 8 to be completed and happy. Then, iodine won't want any more electrons because it's unneeded. Iodine will most likely want to bond with hydrogen or carbon, perhaps. Hydrogen only really wants one more electron with the one it has. Therefore, both elements would be happy. Bonding with carbon would be different. Carbon needs 4 electrons, spoiler alert, to complete him and be happy. Iodine would then need to get 3 more iodines because he isn't. Selfish.
Is it possible for an element to have no affinity?
Yes, Julie. Wow, you're not as stupid as you were walking in this morning. Anyway, the noble gases have no affinity. They're like you with your job and everything else. Let's take neon for example. Neon has 8 electrons. 8 is the maximum he can chill with. If hydrogen wanted to bond with him, neon wouldn't bond with him because neon is unsocial.
So the noble gases have a maximum affinity.
Yes. Let's talk about how they treat these elements. Elements with higher affinities and the noble gases want to hug their electrons so they don't lose them. So romantic. Since they hug electrons so close, it makes the elements have smaller ionization energy. As you go right on the periodic table, the ionization increases. Same thing for down.
Mr. Kool-Aid, I have a very high affinity for my life and job.
Oh, you're right. I meant to call in Rebecca.
Du är så min man, jag så helt metal. Jag vill med burrito. Men så kan jag gå till bibbar på så. Yeah. Mina gaslunada pastella normal. Så där jag vill mas. Yes, so high quest so malo sin opero.
I have zero affinity for this place.
Despacito, que me nada me da despacito, the burrito, despacito, despacito, quiero no despacito, there is the labyrinthito, había saber manscrunito.
Hello. Welcome to the activity. Please pause the video as your teacher or other educator hands out element cards. There will be numerous and you will be given 3 to 8 depending on your classroom size. The first thing we will do is sort your elements from the least to the most affinity. If you have an element with no affinity, please put it on the tail end of the right hand side. Whoever correctly does it the fastest may win a prize if your educator says so. Go. Next up, if you think one of your elements has the largest ionization level, raise your element in the air. The person raising the element should have had francium in their hand. If not, then oof. Finally, if your element has a high affinity for electrons, raise it in your right hand. If it has a low affinity for electrons, raise it in your left. Thank you for watching. Hope this was helpful. Good night, America.
Give us your views to the pillow! Give us the ritmo! Here we go!